practical principles to what? To create lives we want to live. And Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living offers both practical and spiritual tools to make what? Positive changes in our lives. And our promise to folks is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify our greatness.
In this very room.
We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the First People of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. In a similar fashion, we acknowledge how much of what we know in this country today, its culture, economic growth and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labor and their sacrifice, and we acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and the resulting impacts that can still be felt and witnessed today. Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room, by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. Oh Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room.
Yeah, I got that one.
Good morning. This is the time of day on Sundays that we set aside for meditation, centering, grounding of ourselves into where we are. Today, I want to share this short video and then we'll invite us to move into remembering what this Memorial Day is, why we celebrate or why we remember this day.
In every generation, they stand. In every generation, they serve. In every generation, they sacrifice. For 2.5 centuries, on land, sea, and in the air, they fought and died for an idea bigger than themselves. They are the Americans of every race and faith who swear a sacred oath of honor and live it to the last. And when that moment comes, they lay down their lives for the country they love, protecting their comrades, their families, and their nation. They are the bold angels now, examples to us all. On this day, let us honor their sacrifice and call upon ourselves to walk in their footsteps boldly, for they have led the way to the America we must be. The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So let's just take a few moments to remember those that have gone before us and served in whatever way they did. Thanks. And so when you're ready, allow yourself to come back to the room and be present and open your eyes. So it is. Okay, here we have our declaration. Here we go.
We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential.
One more time.
We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential.
And so it is. Okay. So today's reading comes from Science of Mind magazine, this month actually. And the article is, or it's not an article, but the reading is by Eugene Holden, who is a practitioner. And it's called Good to Great to Grand, which is the theme of the month. The power within. Far too often we look to what's outside of us for validation, believing the right car, house, or relationship will validate us or give us power. Wrong. You were created from and with the power that creates the universe. I am one with the intelligence that created all there is, the same power that caused the sun to shine lights up every cell in my body. The power of the divine dwells in me now. I am valuable. Ask yourself what you value. Is it peace, abundance, joy? Or do you value their opposites? Do you value who you are? The truth is that you are an invaluable presence of the One. I am the priceless expression of the divine. I am unlimited in every way. I value who I am. My value brings value to the planet. I am valuable. I am grand. As we rediscover who we are guided to express life authentically. The best way to move from good to great to grand is to know we are the divine's grand idea and live it affirmatively. I am the grand idea of the divine. I know my life is the magnificent life of the divine. I am spirit in action. Vision fulfilled. Living the grand life of the divine is the divine's vision fulfilling its life as us. Going from good to great, or good to grand, takes dedication and commitment. Every day is an opportunity to live in the knowing that the divine is all there is as our lives. I am the divine's vision fulfilling itself as me. I am guided and directed to experience my highest and best. Yes, I am the divine's vision fulfilled right here and right now. And so it is. This has been around a while.
Yeah.
Oh, did you do this?
No. I don't know why it's like
Oh,
that.
it's gone now.
Or it's still there.
Magic. Well, I did it on this one.
Yes, I can see that. Stop sharing.
Oh.
Now it's over there. Now it's gone.
It will eventually go away, maybe.
Let's see if I can.
So we have our song for the month, the final one. So much of my life is good, so much of my life is great, so much of my life is grand, and I touch all that I might be. Where am I now? What do I value? How do I live my life from that value with every breath I receive?
I don't know what's going on. We are love. Okay, now. We always have a commercial.
Now, a word from our sponsor.
Yeah, that's. Okay.
There it is.
Oops. Ah.
So much of my life is good. So much of my life is great. So much of my life is grand. And I touch all that I might be. Where am I now? What do I value? How do I live my life from that value with every breath I receive? So much of your life is good. So much of your life is great. So much of your life is grand. And and you touch all that you might be. Where are you now? What do you value? How do you live your life? From that value in every breath you receive. So much of our life is good. So much of our life is great. So much of our life is grand. And we touch all that we might be. Where are we now? What do we value? How do we live our life? From the value in every breath we receive. So much of my life is good. So much of my life is great. So much of my life is grand. And I touch all that I might be. Where am I now? What do I value? How do I live my life? From that value in every breath I receive. That's what say, can be a little,
Yeah.
I open to your vision for me. Turn to you, surrender and see. Expanded horizons, more good than I have known. Please show. I welcome you, reveal your design. Then make me new that I may align. Exalted expressions, your greatest vision for me. Let me see your vision. make me new, that I may align exalted expressions, your greatest vision for me. Let
I wanted to quiet it a little bit more softly, but that's not how it happened. So, in that song, it's calling for a vision. And it's leaning into that vision. Today's talk is called The Power of Vision. And one of the ideas is that vision allows us to know both ourselves and it allows us to become more aware of what we can create together, what we can co-create. So take a moment, just take a moment, and consider where we are holding a vision in our lives. This may be macro, this may be huge, this may be how we're picturing the whole world, the direction that the world is taking. This may be how long are they going to talk? How long are they going to talk about this? When are they going to get to something else? A vision can be in a moment, a vision can be for a lifetime. And we are always engaging in vision. It's how we're built as human beings. It's how we're created. With the science of mind, Ernest Holmes identified the process that there's thought, and then the thought, the word, comes into form. Anybody familiar with the teaching knows the idea of seed, soil, plant. The seed is the vision. The seed is what we're seeing, what we're imagining, what we are reaching out for, and what we're bringing into the world. And what we're visioning may change depending on our mood, depending on where we are standing in our relationships. And as we grow, we may want to stabilize our vision. We may want to find some particular pull that really grounds us. I've talked before about my teacher who described that beauty is kind of her automatic reset. Any time that she was struggling, if she could return to a sense of beauty, she could restart. So she made a point. She ensured that there was beauty around. In my opinion, I think that's something that Michael has really done here. Michael has been really thoughtful about every space in this room. We have pillars, and Michael's decorated the pillars. When we first came in, all of the walls were gray, which is a fine color in terms of, it goes with lots of things. But we have the back now that's brighter. Take a moment and consider, is there a particular vision? Is there a particular something pulling you? Is it creativity? Is it beauty? Is it love? Is it truth? Is it wisdom? And it can be all of the above, like Jeffrey just said. We've talked before about how when we set an intention, that is like we plant something in ourselves and then we're pulled towards that intention. I would say that vision is an analogous process. When we have a vision, we're able to step forward into that vision. Now, pause for a moment and think about the times that we have just gone pell-mell into the world. I'm sure that's probably not ever happened to anybody here, but you could all maybe perhaps think of somebody in our lives, that neighbor, that really annoying politician, that somebody who's done that. They just kind of hit on a road, and you're like, how did they get there? What were they thinking? There's a whole song that I've been very fond of by Christine Lavin. What was I thinking? What was I blind when I bought this outfit? I must have been out of my mind. That we can see things happening around us. And it becomes an illustration of what is not visionary. An illustration of where vision seemed to be completely absent. In this notion of vision, this month we've been talking about good to great to grand. And there's 3 steps really to move it to a higher level, where we're looking at it communally. So we start by honoring our own authenticity and others' authenticity. Second, we create and sustain safe places to explore and express the true selves that we all are. And third, we take actions aligned with our values, our visions, our intentions. Is this action moving me there or not? Ernest Holmes wrote, "It's easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it." I'm going to say that again for anybody that wants to write it down. It is easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it. It's easier to talk about vision, it's easier to talk about following a vision than it actually can be to do it. Getting into habits, there can be obstacles. Obstacles can come up, we can know what the right thing to do is, but that doesn't mean we're automatically going to do it until we become so practiced in it that we do automatically do it. And how do we give ourselves grace when that automaticity has not yet been achieved? When a little kid is learning to walk and they tumble over, we don't say, "Look at you, you little loser." What kind of idiot are you that you aren't walking perfectly yet? We are kinder to little people than we are to bigger people. Because, when we see it, Phyllis was talking about this person who is plastering somebody's yard. They had a sign celebrating diversity. And this person's response to the celebration of diversity is to slash their tires. It's to cover their car and cover their yard with MAGA signs. Now, isn't that striking that they see that the antidote to diversity is MAGA? And that they see the antidote to diversity as slashing tires? I don't think you have to go very far to say that person's vision about being in the world may not include kindness, may not include a celebration that other people might have different points of view. In the face of that, it can be, I don't know about you, but I was finding myself irritated, partly because it's like a block away. It's a block away from where we live. So it's not like something distant, it's something that I literally walk past that every morning that I go to school, that this is going on. Stephanie Dillon of the Rolling Stones Culture Council posed questions to those who wanted to end oppression. The questions that she included were, how do I treat others? Do my practices align with my values? How am I holding others accountable? But the main question, who am I when no one is looking? So I'd like us to start with that question of who are we when no one is looking? Are we authentic? Are we being our true selves in as much of our lives as we can be? One of the ways to explore this is by taking some alone time. How many of us do take alone time? If we've been in this teaching, we've probably learned that we need to take some time out every day and just be alone. Now I'm going to put in parentheses, in fact, we are not alone, because there is the creation itself, which is unfolding in, as, and through us. But in those times where we are closing out some of the many stimuli that's out in the world, in that quiet, we're able to tap in to that connection with the one. And we can ask, am I truly being who I am, or am I picking up masks and picking up ways so that I'm accepted, so that I'm acceptable? How many of us have been taught that we had to be a certain way? And that when we weren't that way, there was something wrong. In that time of taking time, we start to break that down a little bit. We start to ask, is this really who I am and who I want to be? Is this in alignment with my values? As we look at that alignment of our values, many of you have heard me talk about this distinction before, we can start to look and consider, to what extent is my impact on the world in alignment with my values? When I started work in equity and racial diversity and its expression in the schools, the first big step was to take into account not only the intent, but also the impact. We have a bunch of people who are like, well, you just don't understand, my intention was so good. My intention was so positive. Yeah, that's great. But when the impact is the opposite of the intention, you can't just say, well, you didn't understand my intention. If you only understood my intent, like the woman with the Trump MAGA stickers. My intention is that you understand the truth. And this is the truth. But the impact, slashing people's tires, means that that person's going to have a heck of a time getting anywhere. As that work has gone on in the Seattle School District, more and more people have said, let's stop even looking and bothering with intention, because we can get so wrapped up in our intention that we don't go to that next step of owning our impact. Asking who we are, looking at that question when no one is looking, is about the courage to consider our impacts. And as we look at ourselves, as we look at our impacts, we create a pathway. You've all heard the Nelson Mandela inaugural speech. Can we stop keeping ourselves small? Thinking that by staying small, we're giving allowance for other people in the world. In fact, we are not. By staying small, we are not giving anybody permission to be anything more than small. When we own our enormity, when we own our magnificence, when we claim it, when we name it, when we declare it, when we embrace it, something happens. Many of you know the story about Moses. Moses was called. Moses had run away. Moses had run away from Egypt. He was on the lam. And God said, I want you to go lead my people. And Moses is like a lot of us. Moses had a ton of excuses. I can't, I don't speak very well. Well, you know what? We've got some ways around it. You have a brother and he speaks pretty well. We're gonna rely on him. We can put up walls, but when we stop, when we take the time, when we take that quiet time alone every day, we can listen to that inspiring voice that called Moses forward and said, you can do this. And this is huge. This is something bigger than your imagination. This is something bigger than you've ever allowed to hold in your mind or heart. So who am I when no one is looking? Do we choose to be the enormity that life has called us into being to be? Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. So that's the stage, that's the groundwork. When we start with ourselves and being ourselves, that gives us the capacity to create space for others. That's the piece in that inaugural address. How do we let our own greatness let others explore their greatness? Rather than thinking, if I take up too much room, there won't be room for anybody else. One of the beliefs that these teachings invite is that we are bigger and we are in an infinite world. We are in an infinite universe. There is so much more that is possible than we have ever given credit for. As we let our authentic selves be, that creates a space where others can be their authentic selves. If we're all pretending together, has anybody been in that situation? Does anybody know how that feels? Is it something that we enjoy? Something that we'd say, hey, this is how I want to live my life, in a constant state of pretense. Audre Lorde wrote, when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. I'm going to say that again. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. The fact is that fear is always going to arise. It's a part of how we come into the world as human beings. Sometimes we like to break down our emotional lives and say, okay, this happy, I like it. I really want a lot of this. But this sadness, I'm not so gung-ho about this. This fear, I'm not so gung-ho about this. This shame, ick. This guilt, ugh. What are these? And I just want to get rid of them. Creating space also means creating a space for our own feelings and for others' feelings. And in the space where those feelings exist, we can start to act in ways that help us build the ones we want and help us set aside the ones that we don't want. So shame or embarrassment, if we're present to it, then we get to decide, do I keep doing this thing that creates feelings of shame? Do I or not? Do you or not? We have the power to create space, not only for ourselves, but for others by being ourselves. Now, the third point is that this is all about more than words. When we embrace our authenticity, it just doesn't mean saying, I am authentic. It's acting with authenticity. We take tangible actions, nameable actions. I'm seeing Stephanie, and of course she's reminding me by seeing her that Stephanie is a great person in terms of accountability. We have this accountability group. Every morning, Alexandria is contacting me. How are you being the presence of love today? And that question, which is what I've set my sight on, it's what I've set my vision on. With that question that comes to me, starting the day, it orients me. It orients me towards my actions. Nobody is satisfied with just words. How many times have people tried to placate us, telling us what we want to hear? We start to register. That ear candy doesn't really carry us very far. When you say, yes, I'm going to do that, and then you go away and you don't do that, you've stepped away from your authenticity. You've stepped away from your capacity. You all know I think you all know Yoda. When Yoda is teaching Luke, his last student, Luke's like, I'll try. Yoda, there's do or don't do. The try is nothing. The words are nothing if we don't back it up with our actions. And what actions do we want to embrace? Someone whose name I'm going to struggle to pronounce, but I like what they have to say, so I will try to pronounce it. It's Baha'u'llah.
Sounds good.
You got it.
Baha'u'llah says, let your vision be world-embracing rather than confined to your own self. Let your vision be world-embracing rather than confined to your own self. Know that by our actions, we become catalysts for change in the world. We can start to break down societal structures that have been going on. We can empower new ways of being. We can empower others. So again, there were three main things. We ask ourselves, who are we when no one's looking? So are we really being our authentic selves? When we know that question, when we answer that question, when we move into authenticity, that automatically creates a space for others' authenticity. When we accept and move into our own enormity, our own magnificence, our own glory, our own wonder, that expands the space where others can be their fuller selves, their fuller, wondrous selves. And then the last piece is it's so much more than just saying it. It's doing it. Science of Mind folk know this one. Treat and move your feet. Let's say it together. Treat and move your feet. If we just I treat that I am wealthy. I'm treating that I'm wealthy. I'm treating that I'm wealthy. But we do nothing about being wealthy. We're just I put it out to God. And God will take care of it. And then sometimes we act disappointed. Oh, look, the universe doesn't want what I want. The problem is that we're not proving to the universe we actually want it. When we sit back and we're like the baby moving a little round thing on their stroller. If we keep moving little round things on our strollers, and we never get up and get out of our strollers, the universe is they must be perfectly happy right there. That's what the creative mind is seeing. Oh, look, they're perfectly fine. They say they want this, but their actions say they want this. So things to consider, things to do, your homework, your life work. Find the places where we can practice empathy, compassion, and acceptance. So I kvetched about that person who's putting up those stickers. How do I be patient? How do I be understanding? How do I be empathic? That they feel so trapped by the call to love diversity. How do I give love instead of more hate? How do I give more love with empathy, compassion, and acceptance? 2, where might we dismantle societal barriers and limitations? Maybe it's signing a petition. Maybe it's contacting a representative, a politician. Maybe it's finding a cause to which we want to donate money. Maybe it's, Jeffrey is doing this all the time in terms of helping people out. Their car isn't working, so he goes there and their cars are working. He's dismantling the barrier that's standing between them and their car working. And then finally, allow and cultivate environments, namely ourselves, where every individual feels seen, heard, and celebrated. There used to be a notion about tolerance. But tolerance is really like the very minimum, the bare minimum. I can tolerate you. I'm not really gung-ho about you, but I can tolerate it.
Yeah.
Celebration, what can I find? Years ago, practitioners, I had this person, they just rubbed me the wrong way. No matter how I started the workday, they were there and they made my workday so much less pleasant. And my practitioner, the life work that I had to do was find something positive about this person and praise it every day. Okay, Linda dresses well. Okay, that's it. So you are going to celebrate how great Linda looks. And when I turned around and said, Linda, you just always put together the best outfits. I've never not seen you not look beautiful. You always look so striking. I mean, at first she was kind of like, this is kind of creeping me out, because this is not where the relationship has been. But when I was doing it consistently, look at that blouse. Look at the texture of that, and what you've done with the pants. She's like, my God, I know you're queer because you're identifying the texture on the blouse. But thank you. I mean, I started to generate thank yous. So it wasn't just all me being evil because I was reacting to her. Finding that one space. What's that one little space? So finding that space for celebration. So together, when we do this, we will forge paths to unapologetically allow people to be themselves and for us to be ourselves. So I have an affirmation, which Michael is going to share.
It's coming. That will go right here.
Isn't it fine the way it is?
I like it bigger.
Okay. I create spaces for authentic self-expression in myself and others. I create spaces for authentic self-expression in myself and others. Finally, I create spaces for authentic self-expression in myself and others. And so it is. So I have a song for us to wrap us up. This is by Karen Drucker. And as we're doing this, you can also think about pulling up your screen for an offering if you're going to do it that way, or you can.
Well, I'll wait till you're sharing that right now.
Let go, go with the flow, this is where I'm supposed to be. Please let go, go with the flow, this is where I'm supposed to be.
point where crypto are the best passive income investments in today's economy.
I had to get the last word in. That's it?